Hello and welcome to Coding with Jess, where you code along with me while I build a thing. So today we're going to be working on a project called DXOS that I started working with, I guess, almost 2 months ago. And we're going to be doing some pretty fun stuff, kind of diving into DXOS's ability to have like multiple apps doing cross-app interop and schemas and stuff like that. So we'll be fidgeting around in there. But if this is your first time joining for Coding with Jess, welcome. Couple like ground rules. I'm only going to go for an hour today. I've been doing 2-hour streams for several years now. I'm going to try like a shorter format where I'm just doing 60 minutes. So I'm going to do 2 Pomodoros back to back, like 25 minutes with a 5-minute break, and then 25-minute as we get into this. And then I'll also be watching the live stream here in YouTube. So if you have comments or questions or whatever, you can type them into the YouTube chat, and I'll try to respond and be fairly responsive there. And I think that's about it. So let's jump in and talk about what we're going to work on today. Also, I've totally got something stuck in my throat, so hopefully I won't be like coughing and rumbling throughout this entire live stream. All right, so I mentioned we're going to work on DXOS. Some of you might be wondering what the heck is DXOS, and so let me pull up the DXOS website real quick, DXOS.org. So DXOS is a framework, an application framework for building these interoperable apps that you can build, like, they're local first, they're offline ready, they have real-time data replication, multiplayer by default, all this kind of cool stuff. And to give you like a quick example of what that might look like, I built this little shared counter app. Actually not shared counter, let's do clock dashboard. I built this little clock dashboard app that you can open in multiple tabs. If I start a Pomodoro in one tab, it starts it in another. I can do this across devices too. So I don't have the ability to show my video, unfortunately, of my other screen, but I have up there, I have this running on another computer. And so when I start a Pomodoro here, it starts it up there, and I can see it like counting down. So it natively replicates across devices. And one of the things that I'm really curious about with DXOS is how it handles typed data or queries, or schemas. So when I built the little Pomodoro app, let's go over to the repo real quick. I think it's clock dashboard. When I built, actually I can pull it up locally here. Boop. When I built the repo for this thing, or when I built this little app, it's pretty simple. And what it does is it uses this type to store things in the Echo database called Expando. And Expando is basically like a map. It's a JavaScript object that allows you to store whatever things you want to store in it. So you can write directly to that object. Like, for example, right there's where I add the object to, that's where I create it in Expando. It has a started at key, a duration key, a type key. And then I add that to the space with this thing right here. But then to update the actual timer, you just set things directly on it. And because I used our React app kit, this like React hook that we provide called useQuery, it reactively updates the database, and then reactively updates all the devices every time I make any change to the object. So it's like tracking all changes on the object. That's all great. It's pretty nice. But if I wanted to share this timer data app across like multiple apps, like let's say I had this where was it? Clock dashboard. Let's say I had this like Pomodoro, which is started and running, but I wanted to like show it inside of another app, or I wanted to, I don't know why you'd want to do that. Maybe you could like build an app that is a productivity app that is showing you all of the Pomodoros you completed. My friend Voito works on this app called Tomato that I've been using for a long time, and one of the things he has in here is this stats thing. And let me see if I have any stats. Here we go. So you can see the number of Pomodoros you've done over the week. And so you could build this into the Pomodoro app, or you could build an entirely separate app in DXOS that accesses your Pomodoro data and draws just this like productivity view. That'd be kind of interesting. And so the problem with doing that, with sharing data across multiple applications, when you have this sort of untyped Expando thing, is I don't know what the schema is for this. Like, what are the fields that are on it? How do I tell other applications about it? And so DXOS right now has this really nascent feature that allows you to type objects as well as doing untyped expandos. And those typed objects, you can share the type definition across applications. And so what I'd like to experiment with today is building a typed object and seeing how that goes, and like kind of like what the interface is right now, how we can make it better. Most of my job right now with DXOS is like how we can make this project more easy to build apps and plugins and stuff on top of. So what I was thinking to exercise this is I have this, let's see, let me open my home one, bring this over here. I built this little tool called kanban.md.netlify.app, and you'll notice as soon as you load it up that it looks kind of like Trello, right? And you have this open file button, and I can go open this file. This is a a giant markdown file. Let me see, do I have an example? I think I had an example in somewhere. Not that I care if you guys see all of my to-dos, but just to protect the names of the innocent, I'll make an example to-do. Boop, boop. There we go. All right, cool. That should sync across. All right, now if I open this up, I should see another file called example. Or not. How quickly does sync take place? Boop. Oh, you know what? I think I saved one on my desktop at one point, which means it's in this overflow. There it is, task list. All right, so I've got this task list, something to do, something else, yada, yada, yada. We could open this in like Sublime or something. Where's the open with? What the heck? Oh, because I'm in an open dialog. Anyway, if I open this in the Kanban app, you'll see that I have access to drag these guys around. And if I drag these around, it changes the check marks. So let's go over here to Sublime, open example. Huh, example to-do showed up now. What was it called? Task list. Yeah, we'll grab that, desktop overflow, task list, boom. Great, now let's see if it still works. I think like Sublime might not auto reload. Yeah, you have to like change focus to reload, whereas VS Code like auto reloads. So you'll see that reload, yeah. Sublime gives you a hard time about it for some reason. Let's go to VS Code. Open. Desktop overflow, task list, open. All right, and then close that. All right, here we go. So yeah, you can see those things checking and unchecking as I'm doing this. And so what's going on here is I'm building this Kanban from a I'm building this Kanban out of a Markdown file. And so the Markdown file itself has all the to-dos in it, and I can change them over here. Notice it works both ways. Watch this. Boom! So I can come in over in the text file, and we have this sort of two-way synchronization between a text file and an app. And I've been fascinated by this idea of like multiple apps interfaces to the same data set, and DXOS enables this by setting the database to run alongside applications instead of within the applications. And then the other thing you would need is you need some sort of schema, right? I need to know that this format, line 3, specifies a to-do, whereas like this is not a to-do. And if I save that, nothing changes over here, right? But if I come in and added a to-do item, I made this is not a to-do, which is really confusing. But yeah, so that's what I'm effectively, I think what I'm going to try to do is basically build this app on top of DXOS, which would mean building a task, maybe building two apps. It would be building a task list and a Kanban view. And we'll kind of see what that looks like. So recreate this little Kanban MD app that I'm using. trying to basically recreate all of my personal tools within DXOS, and this is one of them. Okay, so where we could get started. The first place I'm going to start is the DXOS repo actually includes several template apps, and I think one of them is actually a to-do template app. From what I heard, I believe it might not be working right now. So this was something that we built a little while ago. It's to-do MVC, which I find the design on that to be pretty ugly and like dated, but maybe this lets us get started faster. Let's see if to-do MVC is actually built on, and it is. Okay, so let's see, there's typed objects. Here goes, typed queries. Okay, cool. So creating typed objects works like this. If strong types are desired, an instance of typed object descendant should be used. So instead of having import task from schema, well, it doesn't show where task comes in from schema. Oh, right, this is where I think it's generated. So we're going to need to find out where we do protobuf generation, type. Okay, there's the TypeScript guide, which basically has the same stuff from the React guide. Where is the stuff around the protobuf generator? No. Phew, I need to mute real quick while I cough. How does one mute in this guy? Sorry, guys. Okay, so here's to-do MVC. Gosh darn it. Where is the... I know I've seen some documentation on generating the protobuf stuff, but I'm not able to find it right now. Golly day. I think there's a mute button somewhere within within OBS, but I'm not seeing it, which is pretty frustrating. You'd think they would make that easier. I think I found it. It was not obvious what needed to be done, but we made it happen. All right, so carrying on with, I'm not seeing the protobuf docs, so we're just going to kind of fumble our way through it, and then maybe out of this I end up writing the docs for the way that protobuf works. It seems like, all right, so here's our application templates. We talk about the Hello template and the Bear template, but there's also the to-do MVC template that like I said, I think might be not working right now, but we can probably learn a lot just by looking at what is in the to-do MVC and kind of like walking through that. So let's, instead of reading docs, since there don't appear to be any, let's actually look through the source here and see if we can follow along with what's happening. All right, so this is a pretty straightforward React application. That means there's a main TSX, which is setting up the root component, and then app is called from there. So we'll go back to source, and it looks like it might be in components. We've got a main, some use effects to set up the spaces. That's all fine. So there is a space list in this app, which is interesting. Spaces are the way that Echo cordons off data. So all data in Echo is associated with a specific space. All right, so let's see. Boop, do, do. If it's not, double click to edit it to do. Huh. What are the other components that are imported here? Just the space list is all I see. Main must not be the top level component. Let's see. Oh, there's index.ts, which exports the things. Let's go back to source again. Main TSX brings in the app component. I'm not on. Oh, here we go. It's this React router thing. Okay, so yeah, then the path here is we've got to-dos. Do apps tend to have multiple spaces? Redrocks asks, do apps tend to have multiple spaces or usually one for each use case kind of deal? That's a great question. So you should think of it as a hierarchy for where there are users, and then users themselves have multiple spaces. And so the way that we're currently thinking about it is the space is the unit of replication. Like the data in, all data will associate up to a specific space, and then that will get replicated across all your devices. Or the unit of sharing, I guess, is another way of thinking about it. So you might have like a personal space, or where you keep all of your personal stuff and you don't invite anyone to, but that is shared across all your devices. And so rather than thinking about apps having spaces, think about users having spaces, and then apps exist within, apps work across many different spaces to visualize and interact with different pieces of data in those spaces. So like you could have a to-do list data, or to-do items or whatever, that you could have that data exist in multiple spaces, and the app that edits to-do lists would then work across all of those different spaces anywhere where there is a to-do item. So yeah, it's kind of that flipped model. You have to stop thinking about data as living within apps, but data as belonging to the user, and then the app is there. You bring the app to edit the user's data. Let me know if that made sense, or if you have follow-up questions. All right, so we got this React router thing, and looks like at the /path, the to-dos component is what's coming in. So yeah, let's go look at that real quick. Probably should have guessed that, given that this is a to-dos app, but there we go. All right, so this to-dos top-level app, I'm most curious to see exactly what the shape of this to-do list object is. So this use effect right here, you'll find a very similar one in my clock dashboard app. Actually, probably the shared counter app would be the other place to go find this. Did I move that over? Yeah, I did. Yeah, okay, here it is. So yeah, in the shared counter app, you'll find a really similar one in counter. There we go. See this use effect? And I promise I didn't look at the different at the two different repository, or the two different apps. So yeah, you'll see that I'm basically checking to make sure that there's a space initialized where I can store the data, and then the to-do list is getting added. So there's our to-do list object. Now, where is that to-do list getting initialized? All right, so we're importing two different things, a to-do, which I'm gonna guess is a to-do item, and a to-do list from our proto buff folder, or proto folder. Let's jump over to proto real quick, and we can like look at that. So before I open this file, this is a proto buff file, and proto buff is a short for protocol buffers. They're from Google, and they're a way of basically specifying schemas. They're more used for like efficiency of in serializing that data on the wire, which we are transferring this data over the wire, so that's why it's being serialized. Eventually, we'll probably have like a higher level schema language that will generate the protobufs for you automatically. But right now, we actually manually read these protobuf files, and then it looks like maybe, I'm curious to see what exactly is happening when we read this in terms of generating the typed TypeScript file, because this is not TypeScript. This is a .proto file. All right, so we've got two different things specified in here. A to-do list. To-do list has a repeated to-do type called to-dos. This equals 1 is a version number. Don't worry about it too much right now, even though it's kind of heinous looking. Or not, sorry, it's not a version number. It is the each item that's in the that's in the type or in the message has to have a unique incrementing number. Why you have to do that manually is beyond me. I don't understand protobufs well enough to understand it, but what you would basically do is if you were to add another type, let's say this to-do list had a name, we would add like, you know, string name equals 2. You see that down here with message to do, string title equals 1, bool completed equals 2. So these two things, between this gives us our schema for to-dos. And so maybe we build like a really simple to-do app around this schema, and then we could build a kanban interface as well that reads these same to-dos from a to-do list and converts it into multiple stages, and maybe we add to the schema. So that'll be an interesting, like, how do we migrate that across data, or I mean across applications, will be a really interesting thing to look at. All right, so maybe I'll grab this to-do MVC app out of here. I think I can use the DXOS create, basically the command to create the to-do MVC app, and we can see if it's actually working. So if you go to application templates in the docs, there's this npm init DXOS. So I'm going to try that. Whoops. npm init DXOS / to-do MVC. And I think I need to do at latest to make sure that we get the most recent copy of DXOS. Let's see if that works. Okay, it looks like create to-do MVC is like completely disabled. We don't even allow you to create it anymore. So we will I'll have to enable that if I want to do that. Giving a few seconds thought to whether I want to start a new app from scratch or whether I want to clone this out. The problem with like cloning this out of the DXOS repo is that actually no, it's not built with plate in mind. Oh, interesting. And there's tasks app too. Wow, okay, I didn't know that. Let me see, let's see where the example apps are. It could be that I also misspelled, let me see, bear, probably the best thing to search for. There's the template apps. So maybe maybe it's not to-do MVC. There it is, tasks template. Okay. Let me dive into the source real quick. I want to make sure it's protobuf based, which it doesn't look like it is. I don't see a proto folder. Let's go jump into the task list component, and I'm looking for either expando. Okay, so they're defining a type directly in the TypeScript. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy already. Where is our... You know what? It's probably in the child component. I saw a checkbox or an item. Wait. List, task list. Nope. That's not it. What am I... Where's the use effect here? Here we go. Task refs. Use ref, HTML inputs. That doesn't look familiar. And there's no import here for, well, there's DXOS React App Kit loading, but there's no use query. Maybe main passes it in as props? Nope. Checkbox item? Does this even have, like, how is it pulling stuff in from Echo? So normally you would use a use query hook from React App Kit to pull in the data. Maybe it gets pulled in at the very top level. No, that doesn't make sense either. Source. There are pages, there are containers. Maybe this container has something to do with it. Aha! Here we go. Yeah, so this is using Expando. And I have no idea what a container is or what this observer pattern is. I am not a first-class React citizen, but I can see enough to know that it's not using the type thing. And so it looks like you probably could do a tasks here. In fact, I'm almost certain this will work. I just don't, it doesn't help me right now. So let's mkdir our to DXOS tasks app. We're gonna create a to-do list because that's what you do when you're making web frameworks, even when you're making one as cool as DXOS. You make a web app that does to-dos. Yeah. Gave a brief moment's consideration to going down the space, yeah, like trying to generate to-dos automatically from the Markdown file, because we actually already have our own Markdown editor called Composer. This is it right here, and it's nice. Yeah, you can type stuff, and edit Markdown. But we could make a to-do list and do things like this. Get a thing done, and edit in here, and then check it off. But I don't think I want to do that. The thing is, we're trying to create these typed objects in. And this is going to be a much more complicated solution, even though in the terms of file system, it would be like a way simpler solution. So let's not do that. Let's just start with a bare app, I guess, and build our way up to a to-do list. So here we go. Okay, we're in our new thing here. We're going to init a bare DXOS app. And we'll get started. Maybe we can rip out some of this stuff from task list. Actually, man, maybe taking task list and upgrading it to be using protobufs would be faster, because then we wouldn't have to. Ooh, I like that plan. Let's try that. Let's Control C here, and we're going to try to grab tasks. Although I don't like the patterns in there. Don't like, I guess that's a little strong. They are unfamiliar to me, which is frustrating. Like whatever this observer thing is. Apparently it's something in our React client. I don't know. I think this is a pattern that we're experimenting with around how to build plugins around. We have this whole Composer extensibility framework thing, plugin framework that we're working on. And I know there's been conversations about how to make it like auto updating and stuff. Yes, okay to proceed. So this may not help us that much, but maybe I can just take the UI. Although I'm almost always faster building up rather than tearing down, but we'll see. DXOS tasks. PNPM should already have like most of the stuff installed for us. And man, now that I've like been live coding today with like a cough, I want like a giant mute button on my desk, like mute, to be able to instantly mute before I cough in all of y'all's face. Alrighty, here we go. Great, PNPM serve. Let's see what this sucker looks like and if it's actually even working. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's not working, but I don't know why or how badly it's broken. Looks like the required module. Wow, it's not even, this is like a React broken thing. The requested module source components main.js does not provide an export called main. Well, that's not going to be too helpful for us. I'm not going to dive into fixing somebody else's React code, so let's let me go back, move DXOS tasks. Yeah, you can go away now. Move DXOS tasks to, let's see, DXOS tasks template. And now let's make our own thing called DXOS tasks, and we will start from bare and build up. So there you go. CD DXOS tasks, npm, oh, no, control R bare. There we go. Yes, bare at latest. Should ask me about installing. Let's see, this is going to be DXOS tasks as well. Man, that was fast. Pn, did I cd into the directory? Yes, okay, cool. pmi, which should run really fast this time. And open another tab there to the right. So I can do things if necessary. Like, let's go ahead and open this in our code editor. Oh, I still haven't added the .git ignore file here. It's on my list of things to do to add this to the generation, but it's not yet. There it is. Do not want to check in node modules here. Great, that ran. pnpm serve. Come on, come on. Here we go. Localhost. Your code goes here. Sweet. All right, so this is running. See if there's any like crazy errors in the. No, looks good, and it's running 0.15, which is the current version. Okay, good. So we are good to go, starting to build this sucker up. Open the app TSX. Okay, let me move this like over here and then squish this guy down. Okay, so here's where our code goes. I'm gonna just create a new to-do list component, and we will create a new file for it. Source new file to-do list.tsx. And if I remember correctly, it's something like component. Yes, haha. To-do list props. I'm not passing in any props. That was like a little shortcut that's included. Apparently it's like, yeah, you just type component, it gets you most of the things. Great, so now this should be running. To-do list is not defined. Yeah, now I should be able to come over here and add the import, save, and we're good again. Cool. And I can come in here and say div list of to-dos. Here we go. Perfect. Cool. Okay, so now what we're going to need to do is a couple of steps here. I'm going to document these as like, we're going to make this our little to-do list for our to-do list application. We're going to want to connect. We're already connecting. So client provider. Are we authed here? Let me look. Let me open this in a guest space. I don't think we are. We'll see what I mean by authed here in a second. Or you won't, because we're not authed. Okay, great. Yeah, we're not authed. So first thing we need to do is get connect, log the user in, and connect to a space. That will take just a second, and then we'll want to draw. This is interesting. It's interesting to think about how to model this data, because you could have multiple to-do items in the space, free floating in the space, to-do items free floating in the space. And they don't have to be associated with the task list, right? Like you could just like draw all of the tasks from the space to the screen. And there's no need to have a higher level container. You don't have the higher level container, then there's no way to make multiple lists except by having so you probably want the task list, but it's interesting that we could get started by just like writing tasks to the space in general. And then when we have the Kanban app, that could basically get all the tasks from the space, draw the tasks in columns. This could be a really fast way to get started, and like we could, and then like later migrate the tasks data model to have a task list. I kind of like this just because it's like there's a couple things that are nice about this. One, it allows us to get started super fast with like the most minimals model that we could have. And then the second thing is that it's going to force us to do some kind of like migration in the future. Whether it's data migration is probably too strong of a word, but it's going to force us to like increment the version of the data model such that the data model has new things. Like what I want to do is like the two columns right now will be to do and done. And then eventually add a doing column / status to the task data model. So this particular one is going to force us to like deal with updating the protobuf across two different repositories. Okay, let's rock and roll. Let's see if we can do this. It is 12:38. I'm wondering if we can draw our apps, draw to-dos by the end of this time. I think we can. I can copy my login code from, let me see, like shared counter, I think is the other place. Yeah, here we are. Showing shared counter, we have use identity, use space, and then this use effect that creates the thing. I'm just going to copy all of that and paste it in. We'll take care of the imports in just a second here. What we want to do right now, though, is say tasks, and actually I'm going to comment that out because we don't know what our type. I don't know how to query a typed thing, so we'll figure that out in just a second. But let's see, the rest of counter is going to be tasks. So those are all fine. And then here we're going to actually draw the list of tasks. The one nice thing about working in React is that like there's so much example code that Copilot is extremely well trained on it, so I can just basically autocomplete that into being, which is wonderful. Let's go ahead and add some imports here. All right, great. We've got all our imports. Now we need to figure out the key line here is this tasks protobuf file. Let's go over to, let's see, we saw it in to-do MVC, I believe. Where was it? T. No, I don't want to set up an entire thing. There we go. Apps to do MVC. This had an example in components to do's, I think. Yeah, there it is. Proto. So that imports from the proto file. I feel like there's like a CLI command that I have to run or something. I don't know. Jinya and I were just talking about this before. And again, I expected to find docs about it, but I haven't found them. So yeah, we'll figure that out in a second here. Okay, so first step. These are components. Okay, that's it. That's fine. Import the type from proto. So we're gonna have to create a schema. Proto. Wait, was there something else in that schema proto folder now that I think about it? Yes, there was. Export star from gen schema? Is there a gen slash schema? Yeah, this is what I was thinking, that there's something here. All right, let's do some spelunking real quick. DXOS help. npm install, actually pnpm install -d DXOS. I think it's CLI maybe? Okay, this is in the docs. Installing the CLI. CLI overview, here we go. At DXOS, of course, the org and the tool, there we go. Global DX variable should now, oops, npm. Globally means it needs to be installed through npm, but maybe I already have it. Whoops, nope, we don't, okay. So that's installing right now. I was just gonna run a DX help and see if that gives me what I need to see. But while we're doing that, let's go just manually create a proto file, proto folder. Was it in source? I think it was. Yeah. All right, source folder, proto, and new file is going to be schema.proto, which rhymes with Frodo. And close that. Let's go copy this file. Boop. I don't care about the copyright. Oops. Goodness gracious. All right, package is dxos.app.todombc. We'll call it jessmartin.dxos tasks. I don't think this matters. I think this is somehow scoping. Yeah, we'll look more into that in a second. Let's comment that out, and yeah, to do is fine actually. It's gonna have a title and a completed Boolean. Yeah, this looks good. All right, then the other thing that's in here is this index.ts file, which I think this is gonna get generated, but let's rock without it. Or let's just do copy paste it in for now, and then, I mean, it's not like it's a super complicated file. Export star from what? See, okay, where is this referring to? I think something gets genned here that's not currently genned. I need to ask in the Discord and figure out why or how this exactly works. Package JSON. I'm looking to see if I see anything. Ooh, echo schema. That might have something to do with it. Sounds familiar or useful or something. All right, let's go see. Back over here, npm install has run. So now we have a dx command. There it is. We are list apps, list tunnels, show halo profile, show config, list installed plugins. Actually, I'm curious. Whoa. That's surprising. Okay. I haven't linked my DX. You can link the DX CLI with your space so that you can explore your spaces from the CLI, which is pretty cool. But what I was looking for is there's a way to generate the protobuf file. Actually, let me search via Google site. There it is. Echo schema. Class. Constructed via generated protobuf. This is not going to be the documentation I need, because this is like on the client, or this is on the API side where we have pretty minimal. All right, let's look at these other two. Simplest way to read the items in a space is to use space to be query. There's untied. Yeah, I've already read this at the beginning of the day today. Let me see if there's any like thing deep. Provides a tool for conveniently generating entity classes. What is the tool? How do I use the tool? Okay, here we go. DX type. Okay. Do I have that too? No. npm install -g at DXOS /echo typegen. How did I miss this before? This must only be in the... No, it's there. I feel like a dummy. I literally like came to this file, read to about right there, and stopped, which is like halfway down the page. Way to go, Jess. All right, well, here we are. We've read the rest of the file, the rest of this thing now. All right, let's install the typegen tool. While that's installing, we can go read the docs. Probably a great place to start, right? I still am baffled that I missed this before, but it's here. Okay, so we already saw that, we've already seen this code, which is the React app kit usage here, where I'm getting a class task, which extends typed object. Declare the type. Wait. This is surprising to me. Oh, we're on the, this is the TypeScript. Let's go to React. So the code should look a little bit different. Yeah, it does. Oh wait, that's untyped queries. Here's typed queries. Okay, so you can just use query and then pass in the templated, use the type templating thing in TypeScript to get, to pass in the type of the thing that you want to pass in. It will descend from typed object. Yep, there's an example protobuf file. We've already created one of these ourselves using a tool called DXType, which we just got. We're going to call DXType input protobuf file and output TypeScript file. Yeah, I think that import thing, this index.ts, I think that's a red herring. Let me delete that. All right, let's do the DXType thing, see what happens. cd source proto DXType schema.proto and then schema.ts. I'm gonna go with that. No. What? Well, that ain't working. Note the directives option object equals true, which instructs the framework to generate classes from the marked messages. If you're using one of the DXOS application templates, which we are, this type generation step is pre-configured as a pre-build script for you. Is it now? Is it? All right, maybe that index.ts would give us enough after all. Well, let's pretend like it's just working, and we'll do it this way. To do, oh, it bugs me that I called this, okay, let's rename it tasks, to-dos. There we go. Same one and thing, same thing everywhere there. Go bring in the import here. And then how am I supposed to import to do if it's a generated file? It's going to get generated from this. I'll bring back this index.ts thing, but I don't have a high degree of confidence that that is the direction that's going to work here. Let's go back over to the, wasn't the tasks app, it was to do MVC. There it is. source proto index. Alrighty, and yeah, I don't know how to do the import here. So okay, let's go look and see how they do the import. Oh, right. Okay, I remember. It's under source components, do item, no, todos. There it is. All right, so we just bring that in. Maybe magically this will work. To do from /proto. So if it's, so it looks like the command line thing is not working. Cannot find module codec protobuf. Yeah, that seems like a pretty standard like import problem. All right, let's try npm serve here and see if anything changes. Nope. Yeah. It's trying to do too much here. Comment that out. That's kind of wild. Let's see. So let's do an if todos dot length is greater than 0. Then, I'm trying to remember how this works. Then output that stuff, I think. And it's not, so we need to create to-dos here. It kind of looks like it's working, but I'm not exactly sure why or how. It's not blowing up, not throwing errors on this import here. So let's just assume that it is successfully building. I'm curious in the package JSON whether there's an echo type gen thing. There's not. Do we forget a dependency? Yes. Yes, you did. Jenya has joined the chat. Yes, there's a DXOS DX type command is currently failing from the command line, but because I'm using the template app, it looks like it's just working, even though VS Code is complaining about this import. So yeah, it would be in scripts. Oh, you mean the generated thing would be in scripts? Let's see, hold on. Okay, so what I wanted to do though, real quick, is add a couple of to-dos manually and then see if this is actually working. So to-dos. So this is going to end up being a map here of to-do items. It's not going to work exactly. Let's see, const to-do. Yeah, this space GB add here is wrong. Okay, I'm back on track here. I was a little befuddled by the by the fact that the import appears to be working now magically, but I'll roll with it and let's see if we can get this to work. So we're going to create a to-do item, equals new to-do, and it has, what were the columns on it? Title and, oops, title, my first to-do, and completed false. And then we'll add that. I'm not sure if that's the interface here for interacting with a protobuf thingy. Did not expect the type annotation here. All right, import to do. Yeah, the typed thing. Jenya says, what's in package JSON scripts? Yeah, I'm not, are you asking, I think you're asking me to dive into like figuring out what is wrong. Let me see, package JSON scripts. Here we go. I see a build. Yeah, you were mentioning that, I think what you're referring to, Jenya, is the docs say that if you're using one of the DXOS applications, you get a pre-build script, and I'm not seeing said pre-build script. Yep. Okay, cool. Jenya acknowledges, nope, it's not going to work. Okay, cool. So the madness here is the pre-build script is missing, and so we're not getting this import, and so this is not currently working. All right, cool. Well, we got some things to work on. So let me see. I'm coming up on the 1 hour mark, so I think what I'm going to do is call it there. So I'm going to continue working on this over the next couple of days and weeks, is like building this sort of like to-do Kanban interface where you could have like a typed object that's visible in multiple places. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with Coding with Jess in the new like 1 hour long format. We'll see how this goes. I might go back to a 2 hour format. It feels so short to only be doing this for 1 hour. But again, like we'll see if this works versus something else. And yeah, this repo will be up on GitHub shortly. And I'll be continuing to work on this, probably talking about it on Twitter as well, in case you want to follow along there. So see you next Wednesday for Coding with Jess, and I'll see you around.